Hello, everyone. I'm Garry Chan, the head of AI initiatives at VentureLab. Today I have Parasar here, CEO and founder of Digy4. Before we dive into the questions, Parasar, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and then we'll get into the tough questions.
Oh, sure. It's an honor to be here with you, talking to you about Digy4. Let me introduce myself. My name is Parasar Saha. I'm the founder CEO of Digy4, and Digy4 has built the universal cloud for software testing. We're basically a B2B SaaS company, in enterprise tech, growing out of Canada, and we have global customers, and we are growing in that space. Yes.
Great. So let's dive right in. So tell us, why did you start Digy4? What problem are you trying to solve? Is it something that you experienced firsthand? Tell us more.
Absolutely. I think the last part that you mentioned, right, that's the key, right? Being an insider in the industry, and doing quality engineering for 23 years, what I see is that, the problem is the visibility of quality in the software world, right? There are people who are doing quality activities, but how do you take that, what's happening in the world of quality to the people who are outside? How do you show that value, right? So that's where I see that there's a gap, and that's what I wanted to kind of solve, being an insider, to bring the visibility. One other thing is why quality is important in today's world. It's important because software, as you see, has become your everyday companion, right? Whether you're doing your regular work or your most critical work, you rely on software. If something goes wrong, you are stuck. So that's why quality is so important, and that is why the importance of visibility of what the people in quality are doing to raise that to the every level and give that value and bring things to the market which are safer and faster.
Great. Yeah. So how long has it been since you started Digy4?
It has been more than 4 years.
4 years. Yes. So how has the company evolved since this inception? And actually, how did you get the name?
Oh, I keep getting that question so many times. Must be an interesting name, right? For people to ask. So when I thought about the company, and I was talking to my co-founder, it was Digy4 come from that fact is Digi come from digital. And we were trying hard to get the word Digi, D-I-G-I, but couldn't register it. Obviously, it was taken. So we went with Digi, D-I-G-Y. And number 4 is we thought about how we think about digital growth is there are 4 pillars. First, you got to automate thing. That's the first step of digitization. Second is that automation creates a ton of data. Then you bring those automation and data to your cloud. That's where you scale. And then when you scale, you need an efficiency driver, that's AI. So that's where we cover all these 4 pillars. So that's what Digy4 is all about.
Got it. I heard the word AI. That's a good segue. So tell us about the AI capabilities in Digy4. How is it transforming quality engineering at the enterprise level?
Yes, AI has been the talk of the town, no matter whether you're in quality, whether you're anywhere, AI has always been, last couple of, years, the talk. When I look at the AI from a quality perspective, it's very critical because the need of quality has expanded. The volume that, the quality engineers every day handle is tremendous, and the pressure is coming down because AI is creating code. So you have to handle more than you are doing previously. Now, how we look at AI is we build a very interesting thing, because we deal with so much about data. Our business is about data, showing, gathering the data, connecting those dots in the data and actually creating metrics and things. So we thought, step back and thought, how do we kind of use this data? Now we realized that the best way to use this data is to kind of feed it into AI and make that AI more accurate and give intelligence coming out of it and translating those intelligence into actionable items, right? So what we built is called the Insight AI. right? And we are focusing on building more on this insight AI. Insight AI is something like, we gather data from everything, we connect those dots and fit into AI. So if somebody was analyzing, instead of AI will analyze and tell you what's the next step you should be doing, right? So you don't have to get lost in the world of data.
I see, I see. So guiding you in that testing process.
Exactly.
And at the enterprise level, we're talking about lots and lots of lines of code, lots of systems, right?
Exactly.
Pretty complex. Now, it's interesting because at the enterprise level, there are lots and lots of like existing applications, integrations that you deal with. How do you use your cloud technology and integration technology to navigate all of that to make sure that everything still works well?
Yeah, and this is the exact problem we are seeing in the industry, right? Previously, a lot of things was done in a manual way in the QE world, in the quality engineering world. Nowadays, tools are taking over. But the tools actually don't come from one single vendor, right? And there is not interaction between these tools. What end up being is silos. Like, you are in the silos of your tool, okay, and you are not able to get the whole picture, and you're not able to deliver what the customer is wanting, right? That's the reason where we bring the value. We build tool agnostic platform, right? So whether you're bringing from one vendor to another, we support all. Even if your teams, you have multiple teams, we usually work with organizations, large scale organizations where there are like, several teams, right? And they may be using different tools. No matter what you are using, we kind of unify you, right? And what we bring to the table in today's world, it's very important, is platform engineering and quality engineering space. Like, we unify you to work out of one platform and remove the duplication of the stuff and build efficiency from there.
Got it, got it. Let's pivot a little bit since you talked about customers. You work with pretty large scale multinationals. Now, it's interesting at the beginning, you mentioned that you experienced these challenges yourself. So when you work with these customers, do they see the same problems? Are there new challenges that you're helping them solve? Tell us more.
One of the interesting fact is, like, I was sitting down and trying to understand, like, how much our customers has helped to build the company, right? Actually, like, I saw like it's more than 50% of our use cases actually came from the customer, right? And that's the thing, right? They had this problem for a long time. They were looking for solution, they're looking for a platform. We came into the picture, they came in, they said, hey, we have this challenges, how you guys can help. And that's what we seeing the value is, like, solving the customer problem, building those solutions, and building from a product to a platform. And one of the pattern that we continuously monitor the data, we continuously see what we hear from one customer is that some a common problem, and we definitely see a pattern, right? Okay, it's not that, okay, everything is unique, it's a pattern. And when you solve one customer problem, you actually help the industry to kind of solve the problem. So definitely customers are the key thing, and they are the people who are shaping us.
So it's like that old adage, you should listen to your customers. Is that what you were saying?
I think so. Like, and this is my way of building the business is like, when I came into the startup world, right, the startup people think about, hey, go to the investors, focus on fundraising and the stuff. In my world, like, I think, like, where we should be focusing on in the early stage is customer. Are you solving the problem? Are you building features which matters to them, right? Because if you solve a customer problem, you'll build your product, you'll build your traction, and you go to the, like, next stage. So customer is all.
Let's just skip straight to the fun stuff. So tell us some war stories, like, your biggest customer success stories, or was there an aha moment where you say, hey, this makes sense, I know why I'm doing this. So tell us.
That's interesting. Like, let me just think about it. I would break it up into two things, right? Okay, I'll tell you, like, an example where actually the customer helps us to think something, and that helped to kind of, like, build one of the key features that we had, right? So like we had a concept called persona based, right, where we build, like, our flagship product is Digi Dashboard, right, which has a universal dashboard. And universal always means you are catering to different kind of persona. So we build for the practitioners, the engineers, right, we build for the executive. And then somebody said, like, how about a program management one, right, because they have to deal every day with this release management stuff, right, and we stepped back and thought, yes, I think, like, to make that whole chain go, right, make everything successful, we should look at that, like, release management, right, release management. And we built a like, a dashboard for release management. And today I can tell you, like, many of our customers love that because they wanted to see that, okay, so what's happening in their releases, okay. So that's one example how customers kind of help to kind of like create the feature. And you asked an important question, like, what's a wow moment for me, like, when I stepped, like, okay, I'm building something meaningful. I was kind of like, in one of the meeting with one of the customers and his team. And the customer turned around and said, like, you got to go to Digi Dashboard. You got to show me everything happening on Digi Dashboard. And that moment, I felt like, when they can lean on a product that we build and we are critical for them, we should do our best to kind of deliver the best from there, right? That's a moment I really felt that, you're making a very meaningful impact in the customer journey.
I see. That's really cool, especially since they're using your language, right? Digi Dashboard, like they have internalized those terms. But it also goes back to, again, listening to your customers, like the success stories in some ways came from them. And they came up with the idea, you said yes, so you delivered, and then everybody's happy. No, that's really, really cool. Let's talk a little bit about your founder journey. So as a founder, you saw the problem, you want to build a company, and I'm sure you have deep confidence and belief in yourself. But during the past 4 years, as you're going through, building the company, what has been your greatest learning so far, especially in this enterprise quality engineering space?
So if I look at the journey of a founder, like, I feel there are two things that was my learning. One is team, like, team matters a lot, right? How we are building the team. And the second part is your product, right? Okay. So why we are making this thing happen, right? We could go for, like, but we probably are this 1 or 2% startup in the world today who have been able to get to Fortune 500 companies, who have been able to land in 6-figure deals, right? Not many, like, companies in the startup world has not able to do that. The reason we were able to do that is because the knowledge the team brings to the table, right? We are people who actually lived in this space. Every person in our organization has seen this space so deeply, so we understand what the problem can be and how to kind of, like, come up with a solution of it, right? So that is a very key part of our kind of success story. Okay. The second part is the product, okay. And somebody, like, a long time back, like, a couple of years back, when I met him, like, he's a famous, like, entrepreneur. He has made a lot of, like, successful companies, right? One thing he said, and I really kind of listened to him, is that if you're doing something, do that one thing so good that nobody can beat you in next 10 years. And that's exactly what we did. Like, we went in, we learned that how to handle this world of, like, data integration and visualization. And now with the AI, the dashboarding thing, we have mastered it right now, right? That's what helped us to globally spread ourselves. Even at this stage, like, we have global customers and Fortune 500 companies.
Got it. So it seems like the common thread is the team. And like, what is your secret sauce in finding the team? Because it's not just about anybody, right? I presume. So how did you go about building that team? Can you tell us a bit more?
So how I see this is like, and every day when I wake up, right, that's the something like, I always think about like, how my team is growing, like, who did I bring to the team, okay, how that is going to grow, like, because that is somebody and some people who are going to sit with me for a long time in the dinner table and my company will shift. How I see it is like, somebody who is strategic, who is passionate, right? Who is not transactional, who is just not coming for today and maybe getting an opportunity goes out, right? Even they may not have the 100%. If somebody has that strategy, have the passion, they will reach that state. And that's your role as a leader. You got to shape your team to get that 100%. So that's what we believe, that finding the right people with the right vision, right motivation and passion to drive this is important. And we always embed one thing into anybody coming in the team: customer first strategy.
Okay, very good. I like how you sort of exemplify, like, there's no I in the word team. You focus on building the team, empowering them, making sure that they succeed. You mentioned vision. So, now you have an incredible team, you have a really cool product. What's your vision for the next 3 to 5 years?
So how we see this software world is rapidly changing, and data is at the core of this change. Like, tremendous amount of data getting generated. Data is driving your business, your AI and everything. Okay. And we as Digy4 want to be at the center of it, right? We want to kind of make sure that we can actually gather data from every aspect of your operation, even when the business side of it, whether you're a lower environment, upper environment, like, we can gather all this information inside, help you get to that data in the fastest and easiest way, and take you to a point where this data is giving you a direction to an actionable action to you through AI. So we want to be in that centerpiece that we connect the dots and get you that data and actionable insights to it.
That's very good. What about the overall direction of the industry, the quality engineering industry? We're right at that sort of forefront with generative AI, automation. There's so much happening. Like, where do you see this going?
I've been thinking about like how cybersecurity actually came up. Like, if you go back quite some time back, people never bothered about cybersecurity. And then some incident happened, right? And you kind of like, realize how big that is, right? And then your business is at the risk, right? And you realize you got to invest in that. Okay. So quality is like that. You won't understand the value of quality until something goes wrong. And today's world, when code is generated by AI and stuff, right? And now you are going to a customer with that code, and customer is finding a broken piece, right? And their life or their transaction are getting stuck. You realize the value of quality. So what I see is that from here, there's going to be a tremendous amount of traction on quality, a tremendous amount of investment coming in quality, and it's already happening. Like, people are starting to put their millions of dollars into quality because making sure things are safe. And I do see that Gen AI, cloud, those are the factors who are going to be kind of changing how the quality is run today at enterprise level.
Yep. And like with the emergence of Gen AI and the cloud, like you said, like where will Digy4's role in all of this?
See, what I see is like, the volume is increasing. Okay. I came up from a time when even in the large enterprises, we were running 50 or 100 tests a day.
Yeah.
In my clients today, they run 20,000 tests easily in a day. Wow. Right? See amount of volume that is kind of like you are dealing with, right? As a human, can you deal with this huge amount of growth that is going? Then you have to exponentially increase your team, right? And nobody is going to do that, right? So what is going to happen over the time is the assisted process, right? The AI and Gen AI is going to help you prioritize where you should be focusing on, right? What data you should be looking at, right? And then you make that call from there, and I always go back to this example of Netflix, right? Okay, we grew up in those days when there was only one movie coming in a week, and I don't have to make that choice, right? Okay, which movie to look for.
Okay, I grew up in Blockbuster, but
Yeah,
that's a different story.
yeah, but still you have that thing you go to the shelf has only few videos, right? I also, that's interesting, right? Now you are in a world where there are so many titles of the things to choose from. How are you going to do that? Somebody has to assist you to, based on your data and everything, where do you focus? And from there you make your choices and the stuff, and you can actually take the last leg. So humans are always going to be there in the loop, but what extent, right? It's going to break it up, and kind of you are always needed, but you are needed in your critical part of it.
I see, I see. Now that you've been at it for 4 years with great traction, multinational customers and an incredible team, what message do you have for the next generation of founders, doing difficult things, maybe even coming out of a small country like Canada? What's your advice to them?
I'm always passionate about Canada. What my message to the founders is be bold, okay, and think global, right? There is so much that you can do from Canada, and really take it to the world, right? And what I always mention, I have a hashtag called from Canada to the world, right? That's what we have been able to achieve, and that's what we want every founders here to kind of go for, take it to the world. And one of the things which I realized through my journey of being a founder in Canada is there is so much help from the ecosystem. You just need to navigate, you need to discover that, right? And there is so much help, like organizations like VentureLab, Idea, right? Even the bank that we work with, right? They help us every step of the way to kind of help our different transaction and thing. So there is so much help there for a founder to grow, and I can tell you Canada is one of the best place to grow your company today to the global level, right? So that's my thing, go big.
Great. All right. Well, thank you, Parasar, for taking the time to talk to me today. Having worked with you for the past 4 years, it's been such an honor and delight to be able to see you grow the company, going through all the trials and tribulations of a startup founder. And I can't wait to see your next successes. I'm sure they will happen sooner rather than later.
Thank you, Gary. It has been a pleasure, working with you, and I'm honored to be with you today, having this discussion. It's a journey, and the journey can only be possible with people like you. Thank you.